Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Williamson, and I will be sharing today's announcements with you. First off, we are always so lucky to have our musicians, Jesse, Brian, and featuring today, Lacey Johnson. Just so you know, we are practicing safety precautions, and so we have our doors open for fresh air, but while inside you want to wear your mask, and if you prefer to sit outside and you'd be more comfortable, you should do so. And of course, we're only doing air hugs, and during our peace song, our closing song, you want to put your hands over your heart, and instead of holding hands, unless of course you're holding hands with your family members. So these are our upcoming events and classes. First off, Satiating Prayer, the Science of Effective Prayer. In this class, we will explore what it means to pray effectively and align with the experience of the benevolently satiated prayer. Oh, I'm so glad I was able to get that out. This 5-week online class begins March 16th at 6 p.m. And it is a class for anyone who would like to deepen their spiritual connection. Also, it counts towards credits for the prayer chaplaincy class. And of course, you can find out more info at soulcenteroc.com. We have an ongoing opportunity to practice our practice, and that is Reverend Keith's daily affirmative prayer, Monday through Saturday, no Sundays, from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can access it via Soul Center's Facebook page or the Zoom link in our newsletter and at soulcenteroc.com. A Course in Miracles. You can join in and study from A Course in Miracles with Akili Beckwith. It's an amazing treat. And A Course in Miracles meets every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We meet online and you can join at any time. Just jump in and it's all good. You can find further details at soulcenteroc.com. The second Monday of the month from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have Soul Center Visioning. It's an opportunity to just hold an intention for our future space and where we are going with our mission and our vision. Please contact Birgit to join, as well as for more information. Something I'm really looking forward to is Reverend Keith's annual Nature and Meditation Retreat. And there's only a few spots left. So if you'd like to do that, you better get on it. It is happening March 25th through 26th. We will spend a Friday afternoon and evening in Ventura, and then we will enjoy a boat ride Saturday morning. Don't be late for the boat. To Santa Cruz Island and experience a day of light hiking and meditation with our own Reverend Keith, our own Reverend of Fun. Visit keithhorwitz.com for details. Every week on Sundays, we have Enlightened Kids Village, and our teen program meets for the first Sunday of the month. So make sure, bring the kids, and we'll look after them and teach them a few things. Prayer chaplains are here to support you and are available after service for private individual prayer. Prayer requests may also be sent to soulcenterocprayers@gmail.com. For our weekly newsletter, go to soulcenteroc.com or stop by our welcome table on your way out. Please consider tithing to Soul Center. Your tithing pays for Soul Center's operations and our building fund. Please tithe via our secure website or text, or mail a check, or find us on Venmo at Soul Center OC. Of course, your donation is tax deductible as we are a 501c3 organization. Your tithing, for information, please contact info@soulcenteroc.com if you did not already receive your donation statement. I forgot to grab a butterfly. One's flying in right now. For auto tithers or for those who donate online or text, please, if you didn't get one in the future, grab a butterfly from our welcome desk, and then you can have that to place in the basket as proxy for your tithe. This is something new. Actually, we've been doing it for a couple of weeks. It's a fundraising raffle basket. In order to support Soul Center by supporting yourself. This wonderful basket is being raffled on Sunday, February 27th. To purchase raffle tickets, visit our welcome table. For our live streamers, you can buy tickets online by visiting soulcenteroc.com and clicking the donate button, or by texting GIVE to 669-342-2157, or via Venmo at Soul Center OC, business listing. If donating electronically, please put in the notes, raffle, and your name. Tickets are 1 for $5, 3 for $10, and 10 for $20.
Ooh.
There, that's the one. That's the one.
That's the one.
If you are interested in volunteering, and it's such a joy to volunteer, that's how I've made friends here at Soul Center, so jump in. If you would like to join our team of wonderful volunteers, please contact Birgit, our volunteer team lead, or email info@soulcenteroc.com. It's a fulfilling and joyful experience and an opportunity to make new friends, like I said. As always, we want to thank Jessica, our wonderful, beautiful, amazing Jessica, and her beloved mother, Patricia, our founders of Soul Center OC. Thank you for your visioning of Soul Center and for inviting us to build upon everything you've already built. Now, please join us for our congregation song.
Good morning, Soul Center.
Good morning.
This is one of my favorites to do. It's called I Release. And if you're feeling it, please sing with me. There was a time in my
Still like to walk in a day.
life. Thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know that the love of God was at hand.
morning, Soul Center.
Good morning, Scott.
My name is Scott Cohen, as some of you know. Our reading today is taken from the Inward Journey by Howard Thurman and is entitled, I Seek Room for Peace. I seek the enlargement of my heart that there may be room for peace. Already there is room enough for chaos. There is in everyday's experience much that makes for confusion and bewilderment. Often I do not understand quite how my relations with others became frayed and chaotic. Sometimes this chaos is a positive thing. It means that something new, creative, and whole is beginning to pull together the tattered fragments of my relationship with a person and to fashion it into that which delights the spirit and makes glad the heart. Sometimes the chaos is negative, a sign of degeneration in a relationship once meaningful and good. There is room enough for chaos. But the need of my heart is room for peace. Peace of mind that inspires singleness of purpose. Peace of heart that quiets all fears and uproots all panic. Peace of spirit that filters through all confusions and robs them of their power. These I seek now. I know that here in this quietness, my life can be infused with peace. Let us turn within and pray. So I just acknowledge that peace that is beyond understanding is the very life that God is. God is this peace. God is the love. God is the joy that exists. This one divine intelligence that expresses in, through, and as each and every person here, each and every person in the world, each and every thing, organism, object, person, being. And so I know that we have been brought together by the power and the presence of God. So I bless this time together. I bless this service. I bless the band and our wonderful singer. I bless Reverend Keith, that his words be of truth and really hit us where we need to be hit. And so I bless this time together and this time spent celebrating Spirit within. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Now it's time for our agape affirmations. You will find them in your program and coming up on the screen. I'll speak a line and then we'll all repeat them aloud together. With sincerity and acceptance. My high focus and deep resolve activate God's vision for my life.
My high focus and deep resolve activate God's vision for my life.
The gifts of divinity are mine, freely given and fully received.
The gifts of divinity are mine, freely given and fully received.
True abundance flows from the well of my God consciousness.
True abundance flows from the well of my God consciousness.
My body temple is a perfect idea backed by unlimited and potent potential.
My body temple is a perfect idea backed by unlimited and potent potential.
I live, move, and have my beingness in a field of gratitude and appreciation.
I live, move, and have my beingness in a field of gratitude and appreciation.
God is.
God is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen.
See what's the dawn breaks and the clouds clear, in an open space, together we will run.
Oh, Lacey, thank you. That was brilliant. Oh, Brian, Jesse, we love you. We love you. We know how to rock and soul here at Soul Center, and grateful to have such amazing talent. We have amazing talent in our community. Oh, good morning, Soul Center. Are you ready? Are you ready to grow? Are you ready to glow? And are you ready to increase your net worthiness? Yes is the answer. Just in case you're curious, that is the answer. Yes is always the answer to everything concerning your soul, the divine, your brilliance, your beauty. We say yes, just as the universe vibrates at yes. Good morning, welcome. I just wanted to remind everyone that this was dedicated on behalf of Patricia, and just as the plaque says, with every gong, may your heart be filled with the words, big love to you all. And just to bring her energy, I know it's already here. Let your hearts fill, big love, fill you all. And just truly grateful for her presence and the presence that continues, the vision that was captured, that is allowing Soul Center to continue to compel and propel itself by that vision, the vision which is calling us, the vision that is part of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And for anybody who's new, you know, the Agape International Spiritual Center, we're part of the New Thought Ageless Wisdom teaching, and Agape stands for, or means, unconditional love in Greek. And so we're part of that unconditionally loving movement, the movement of unconditional love and truth that shows up as us not only preaching and teaching, but living from that space. We're choosing, all of us are choosing to live from the space of grace, of brilliance, of power, of plenitude, the magnitude of the divine, to have it rise up from within us. And years ago, I used to do a lot of volunteer work. I did some work with an organization. It was an at-risk youth community in South Central, and their whole thing was to work with at-risk youth, to get them off the streets and into a safe place and cultivate and nurture them, grow them so that they can thrive and live their highest potential. This woman who started it was just an angel of the earth. And as I was working in this community, I began to realize that it was an organization that grew to about 50 people, and of these 50 people, they were there, heart and soul, body and mind, to support the community, these kids. And they all were so sincere and so loving and so dedicated, and they would give and give and give, and they would deplete and deplete and deplete. Because if you've ever met some of these earth angels that are there to support other people, they give, and sometimes we found out through the research that we did that 60% of people that are serving other people in the human services fields, that are on the front lines of feeding people, clothing people, housing people, keeping them safe off the street, etc., they're so bad at taking care of themselves that they burn out and drop out of what they're doing because they don't take care of themselves. It's as simple as that. Now, oftentimes, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but oftentimes we hear stories of this and that, something that might be going on in the world. We see it online, or we see it in the news, or somebody's telling us a story about something, and we're thinking, oh my, those people over there, those poor people. And nothing comes into our awareness that doesn't pertain to us. If I'm hearing something about not taking full care of myself vibrantly, then maybe there's something that I need to hear about that. There's no coincidence. The universe is always reflective and always communicating to us that which we need to know. Now, to the degree that we need to know that information, meaning like maybe I only don't take care of myself all that well a little bit. And maybe I really participate in things that deplete me a lot. You're not hearing it for no good reason. You're hearing it because there's something that wants to rise up and emerge from you. So me and a group of several other people, we got together and we decided to do a Care for the Caregivers program, which meant that we were going to support them in supporting themselves. And we did this program over the course of 12 weeks, and we learned so much. But the key ingredient of this was to make sure that you nurture yourself. And we noticed that one of the things that so many people shared in this particular program was worthiness issues. Sometimes when we serve or we overgive, sometimes there is a real or an imagined perception of deficiency within myself. So I'm trying to make up for something by overgiving, overachieving. So we just want to become keenly aware, that our intention is that we want to make sure that we're giving from the overflow. That's the intention we want to have all the time, that we're nurturing ourselves. And the brilliance of all of this is that when you nurture yourself, and we're talking about spiritual pride. Spiritual pride is when you know yourself and see yourself and you love yourself as God knows, loves, and sees you. Now that's a big idea, actually. It sounds super simple, but how often do you contemplate and sit and to, as Shakespeare would say, to thine own self be true, to be true to yourself. Now, the difference between egoic pride, which is boastful, will oftentimes leave people out. I've got to take care of me, so you just buzz off. Probably not the words that are used, but some along those lines, where you got to take care of yourself and somebody else is going to have to suffer the consequence because I'm taking care of me. Versus spiritual pride, which says, I am going to find this serendipitous, really amazing, behooving grooving that will be able to, I can take care of me, and then you get to win as a result of the overflow of my goodness, and then it's win-win. Spiritual pride allows that. That is the very essence of giving from the overflow. So it is amazing, and I do, as a recovering people pleaser, as somebody who used to be president of Worthlessness Anonymous, where I used to beat myself up all the time, I can definitely tell you, when you start to go down and explore, we already know that what you focus on is going to expand. So when you allow yourself to just begin to explore and to thy own self be true, and to really know, what does it mean to be born in the image and likeness of God? What does it mean to know yourself as the divine knows you? It's very humbling, but it will ask you to let go of erroneous ideas and erroneous perceptions about yourself. One of the things that we noticed in this program was that so many people were so focused on serving others that that of course they didn't take care of themselves, but they were neglecting to look at themselves. They just didn't want to, they were just like, I'll just give until I burn out. And many of them did. And so what ended up happening over this program is there was a lot of emphasis on, what about you? Now, there's a difference, again, when you say, like, what about me? Now, when the ego does it, what about me is very selfish and is trying to demand something for itself. But when you sit and you think, well, what about me? What makes me nurture? What makes me so filled with love that I can overflow and benevolently and abundantly give to other people? I'm sure any mom or dad would understand this, because that's where you want to be with your kids. You want to be so vibrant that you can overflow. That's just the beginning. The beginning is to become aware of that, but then you want to cultivate it. We want to make sure that we don't move into menticide. Back in the 50s, there was some research done on menticide, which is mental genocide, actually killing yourself through your thoughts, where you start to mentate on stuff that is no good. So we are not a community of mentalciding. We are a community that grows into the divine idea of our lives. But it is one of those things because menticide, so when that was coined, way back when, what they were looking at was at the advent of technology. Television was starting to really grow. It was really starting to infect and make its way into all the homes throughout the world. And all of a sudden, the power of a message was introduced. It was a one-way message. That message could go out over the airwaves. And so, you know, as somebody who used to be in advertising and spent many years in advertising, and we knew some of the keys. That when somebody has to hear something a minimum of 3 times in advertising. There's a reach and a frequency in advertising. You want to reach a whole bunch of people, and then you got to hit them several times in order for your message to get across. Now, that works 2 ways. It can work for good or for bad. When you're hearing the truth, it's great. When you're hearing a non-truth, and you hear it over and over, and even if the first time you hear it, you're like, no, that's not true. I don't believe that. But if you hear it enough, all of a sudden you start to believe it's true. And so that is, from a spiritual perspective, in our spiritual practice, why we don't let the world influence us. We have to take our gaze off of the temporal world. We go from a horizontal visioning to a vertical. We want to allow our imagination and our gaze to return home to God. So that because a lot of people are like, oh my God, like today with fake news and all of this stuff and propaganda and what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine and what's been going on in political systems around the world and who knows what and what's going on in medical things and this and that. And people are trying to decipher the truth from the temporal world. You don't want to decipher the truth from the temporal world. It's okay if you know somebody who is going to have a conversation where the intention is, I'm seeking to know the absolute truth that isn't based on temporal facts. I want to know the absolute truth, and we bring our gaze vertically, and we allow the holy mind, the divine mind, the soul's wisdom to be able to bring us enlightenment. And then you'll be able to observe the world. And you'll be able to observe the world that when you look out into the world, you will see phenomena. And there's different layers of phenomena in terms of how things are experienced. So for example, we know that in God, there is no disease, there is no separation, there is no hatred, there is no judgment, there is no withholding. So in God, there is no such thing as a bad economy. In God, there's no such thing as cancer or a pandemic or anything like that. No, we're not minimizing anything. Now, in the world, so in lowercase r reality, that's where you experience phenomena. In lowercase r reality, so that's the reality of like, oh, I'm touching this, it's metal, it's cold, okay, that's real. I got burned when I put my hand in the flame, that's real. I got COVID because whatever happened and I healed from it, and it was a real experience, lowercase r real. Capital R real does not acknowledge, capital R will lift you from the temporal into the eternal truth. Now that can be a little mind-boggling for people at times, because it's like, well, what do you mean it's not real? It's like, so we put it in perspective. You have to put it in perspective and say, okay, so the real reality is that there is no poverty, there is no shame, there is no guilt, there is no anger, there is no resentment. There is none of those temporal energies there. Then I want to download those energies that bring the wisdom that allow me to see what's going on in the phenomena of the lowercase r reality and then start infusing it. And this is when you will start to transcend, and we don't do it in pretend, we don't fake it. No, you can get a little mileage out of fake it till you make it. And we can talk about that later. Fake it till you make it means it's like, okay, I am not quite there, but I'm going to take the idea and I'm going to let it grow. So I might not be there yet, but I'll let that idea grow. I'll know that there is no disease in God, and so I'll let that have it. Okay, I'm not going to make that bad or wrong, but I know there's no disease. And if you start to really harness it, then you'll notice that all of a sudden the person who used to say, this used to actually be me, I used to be like, oh yeah, I get the flu just about every year around November is when I would get the annual flu. That was 23 years ago. Haven't had the flu since. Well, actually since 21 years ago. when I started to master, where it's like, okay, how do you? So I was curious. They say curiosity killed the cat, but curiosity in the divine, you become curious. Show me. I want to know what it's like. And I didn't become like, oh, look at me. I'm so wonderful. It's like, no, I just want to know. You put on that childlike innocence and you want to explore. You put on your explorer hat. You want to explore what it's like. Joel Goldsmith, one of the forefathers of our movement, he was the one who really said, this is what you do. You take the divine idea and then you be with that divine idea until it becomes real. And it can become real in varying degrees. First, I started to stop saying that I get the flu every year. Then I started to go into what I'm going to suggest that we all do. What we all are going to do is first, to avoid being menticized, where we commit personal mental genocide on ourselves, is we have to let go of erroneous ideas and erroneous beliefs. Sounds easy. If you could, just hook them up to a computer and start deleting all the files, it would be super easy. But what we got to do is we got to just become aware. We just become aware of what's going on, and you become aware of what's going on by whatever's out picturing. So if I'm aware, I've been getting sick, or allergies, or whatever it is, don't ever make it bad, don't ever make it wrong. It's just part of the phenomena of lowercase r reality. And then it's like, well, what would I like to do about it? And so you're going to commune with spirit. You're going to be asked to know, when it comes to allergies, it's like, what am I really allergic to? Because oftentimes we have a food allergy, but it's not really associated with the food. The food's just the trigger. There's something else that's going on. So what am I going to let go of is what we want to start to do. But even besides that, we want to be still and know, what is my true desire? What is my true desire? And remembering that the intention is that my intention is always connected to my true desire. And your true desire comes from your soul. So my intention is that my intentions are associated with my true desire. Then I sit with my true desire, and then I say, what do I need to believe or to know in order for that to take place? So if I want to believe that God is my source and my supply of infinite prosperity, what do I need to embody? What do I need to know? What do I need to believe that as true? And so for me, I've shared this before, that, I went through a hellacious experience of debt, which was associated with doubt. And when that cleared, and it was like, show me what it's like. All of a sudden, it started to do what we know the ancient spiral symbol means. You grab onto it at any point. So that spiral that you see in temples and sacred places around the world, whether it's down in the Yucatan, whether it's in Egypt, whether it's in Ireland, around the world, you will see that sacred spiral. That sacred spiral is when you go to the one point in the center, which is God, and you grab a hold of it, and you let it start spiraling, and the spiral, of course, just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Otherwise, we could just be sitting there and stagnating in whatever it is. So we want to grab a hold of that. Choose, okay, I'm choosing to connect with the divine idea. My intention is to be with that desire. What do I need to know? What do I need to believe in order for that to be true as my experience? Now, it sounds simple, but when you have things in your subconscious that might be contrary to that belief, now the first thing you want to do is find out, what do I need to know? Because your belief, if you start to, now we know that belief and knowing can be slightly two different things. Beliefs do belong to the temporal world, but we can take advantage of them. So my belief that I get sick every year was not such a great experience. As I started to let that go into belief and to showing that my vitality within me and whatever habits and whatever things go along with it, because you will have a transformation that takes place within your biochemistry. You will be biochemically, physically, emotionally, and mentally transformed. We want to be transformed. And it'll often be subtle and gentle and beautiful. All of a sudden, you'll start noticing you don't crave certain things. All of a sudden, you'll start noticing you're hanging out over here instead of over here. All of a sudden, the propensity to gravitate towards lower vibrational frequencies just starts dropping away, and then you start rising and like, oh, I'm hanging in over here, and I'm hanging over in these high vibrational frequencies, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've been fortified. You've been fortified, and all of this, of course, is taking place by acknowledging the divine And to remember that he that conquers is strong, but he that conquers himself is mighty. In the Tao Te Ching, we're talking about how when you conquer any of my own inhibitions, my own lack, or my own misperceptions. So there was one of the gentlemen that was in this program, and he was kept serving and serving and serving, and he was so depleted. And when we went through the program, and he had such a surge after the 12 weeks, and some of the things that we discovered during this, which included divine energy and prayer, and doing a little introspection to see what was going on. But when he was a little boy, he was in a horrible car accident with his mom. And he was doing something that was very distracting. I think he was around 4 or something like that. And his mom had to take care of it, and the crash happened. She did not survive, and he did. You move on through life, and as we went back, there was a suppressed memory where there was some woman, a relative, at the wake, and he overheard it, but he didn't remember it. But he overheard, if it hadn't been for Johnny, she'd still be alive. So he took on this heaviness. It was all his fault. Now, you're too young at 4 or 5 years old to really process any of that. You don't have really the ability. But when he got into his 30s, he all of a sudden, when things were, he just was getting so depleted. Now, the depletion ends up showing up as chronic fatigue in his case, things that, because when you overgive, and the more important thing, when you don't receive, that is a recipe for feeling very just burnt out. That is the definition of burnout. So we had to get to a place where we allow the transmuting energies of forgiveness and redemption. And this is also one of those things. This is one of those things that's a big difference between the lowercase r reality and the capital R reality. The capital R reality, we know there's no death in God. There's just transformation. A little funky, it can be a little challenging, and because everybody's cosmology is a little bit different, everybody processes grieving differently. And as I was sharing several weeks ago at Patricia's Celebration of Life service, there are communities around the world that celebrate. It's like, oh my goodness, you're going on to the great next adventure. And then there are people who weep and cry, and they feel the real pains of loss. And so that's lowercase r real when I feel the for people when they're going through those things. That's what a spiritual community does. That's what spiritual people do, is we meet you where you are, but we're holding a space. We're holding a space that we can rise, that we can rise into and empower, because we're not to just define death is bad and sad. That's not the definition. It's a transitory, everybody's going to go through it, and it's just the same. It's just the same as birth, because you will be birthing yourself into a new adventure. It's not just a cute little spiritual saying. It's the absolute truth. And so we're here to really start to harness the capital R reality and bring it in, and then let it evolve us, where it's like, okay, now I can go through these experiences where all of a sudden I'm holding into the truth, the capital T truth, and I'm no longer participating in menticide. And again, what they were doing back then is the power of television as it was coming onto the scene, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, so we're going to bombard people with a particular message. There's some crazy remember? I mean, I don't remember because it's a little before my time, but there used to be commercials for smoking. Like, oh, remember the Marlboro Man, blah, 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 whatever. All that glamorizing. Let's glamorize it. Right now they're glamorizing pharmaceuticals. Oh, Pfizer, it's so good for you. Now, capital R reality is that we don't need pharmaceuticals, but we don't make pharmaceuticals bad either, because some pharmaceuticals are brilliant. They've really helped some people. We know that in general, pharmaceuticals are something that we use it just as a temporary step to get to where we need. So if somebody I was going through a real depression and I needed something to help me through the depression, but we don't lose sight that even if I am not really aware of capital R reality, I want to get there. So that's where we hold a space, and we say, okay, I might need this for the moment, but eventually I'm going to choose that I'm going to not need that anymore. And however long it is, as long as the quest is for wholeness and truth. And so that, again, that menticiding was where people, so some people go into this like, conspiracy theories. 9/11 conspiracy theories and pandemic conspiracy theories and all. We don't get involved in conspiracy theories. There's only one conspiracy, and that's the conspiracy of wholeness. Wholeness and wellness and goodness. So we don't want to get our information. That doesn't mean we bury our heads. It means that whatever, as Reverend Michael always says, if you're going to watch the news, you better be prayed up. Your consciousness better be ready to watch the news from up here so that you know what to pray for down here. You're going to bring that high vibration and start downloading it. And we don't need to know so much of the details. We just hold the truth. So a lot of people are making decisions based on erroneous information. And confusion is one of the symptoms that's going to tell you something's not wrong. I'm not up here. I'm not in the secret place of the Most High if I'm getting confused. Because, I'm confused. Did I use plastic straws? Do I not use plastic straws? Oh my God, what am I supposed to do? It's like, no, we're going to let go of that. Just, show me what I am to need to know about whatever it is. And then liberating ourselves. And if you use the practice where you say, okay, this is our spiritual practice on a regular, it starts to expand, where all of a sudden, I'm no longer needing okay, it's 7:30, this is when I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do my meditation, get very clear on my intention, which is very good, we're going to do that. But eventually, all of a sudden, it just becomes second nature. I just wake up in gratitude. We're flexing that muscle. I was working with somebody who started meditating yesterday. He was getting an introduction into meditation. And some people, I'll tell you, so he was one of those people, I can't, and all of a sudden we did it, and boom, he was like, whoosh, he just went off. So don't even believe yourself sometimes. So I was telling him, one of the first things you want to do when it comes to a meditation practice is do not have the belief it's difficult, it's hard, the chatter, no. It's easy. I love it. As we were talking about this morning in meditation, my meditation practice is delicious. It's so easy. It's just love on steroids. So, yeah, that's awful. I got to sit and be still in love. It's like, no, yes, that's what we want to do. So we want to be inspired. We want to go ahead and just follow the formula. What is it now? Again, you've heard me say it before. When it comes to your belief system, you have beliefs, and as Carl Jung would say, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your lives, and you'll call it fate. If you allow the unconscious erroneous belief in poverty or illness or whatever it is, if you allow it, then it's like, my fate is this. And in a way, it's true. If I allow something to ride its course, because it's a wave of energy, that's all it is. So I'm believing, so for me, I was like, oh God, you got to work hard, and and I think I've shared with you before the shell game and playing the game where I'm going to I'm going to get this 0% interest and move this over here, and I got so involved in the temporal world of playing the game, I wasn't coming up here. When I came up here, everything changed. And it's like, okay, keep downloading. And of course, you're downloading from the perspective of little me is downloading the higher perception, but then eventually it's me as God that is expressing all this, not me and God. We know that we are born in the image and likeness of God, which means you as the divine. And that's where we come back to knowing myself, loving myself, seeing myself, embracing myself as God sees, knows, and loves me, as prosperity, as sacred holy relationships, as radiant wellness, in every shape, form of our beingness, so that we change our fate. We're in complete control of our fate. We have dominion over our fate. And some people, confuse fate and destiny, but destiny, the one destiny that we all share, every single one of us, your wholeness is already right with you, and you will achieve it in full glory. That's going to happen. When? That's up to you. So we're going to say yes to increasing our spiritual practice. Again, now sometimes you become aware of what you need to release in order to, but I'm just going to say for right now, we're going to focus on what is it that I want to believe? What is it that I want to know? What truth do I want to know that brings me clarity, that brings me joy, that brings me prosperity? What do I need to know? What do I need to believe in order to be debt-free and absolutely overflowing with prosperity, or to be included in this group of people that I feel excluded from? What do I need to know to be included? That's what we want to, those are the questions. The right questions you're going to get a ton of mileage out of that. So I'm just going to invite you to join me as we move into the prayer field. What would you like to believe right now? What would you like to know in your bones? Really know, ironclad, where you would never doubt it ever. You'll never waver on it. You know God is your source and your supply of all good. You know that there's a perfect blueprint of wellness in your bone cells, DNA, and tissues. You know that prosperity is yours and that God never withholds and only gives. You know that the universe, that God never judges and only praises and raises. We must choose to be praised and raised, and so we do so right now as we become aware of either the intention that I'm choosing to become aware of what it is I need to become aware of, or I'm choosing to be aware of whatever it is. Fill in the blank. And it is in this awareness that we invite, evoke, and allow the presence of God, Almighty, all good, all love, all brilliance, all beauty to fill and thrill us, for we know that redemption is ours, purification is ours, prosperity, wellness, goodness is ours, because we are one with the Holy Presence. We know that God, the Creator, whether we call it Allah or Jehovah, Yahweh or Elohim, Adonai, the Creator, the One, the universe, this presence only seeks to love and expand itself as goodness and wholeness. Therefore, that is who we are, each of us born in its image and likeness. We choose to know what that means, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it tastes like, what it smells like, that we are only and always wholly inspired by truth, the absolute truth, the capital T truth, the capital R reality, the reality that is in the vertical position of allowing ourselves to know that I am the beloved in whom God is so pleased, and the kingdom of heaven is mine, for I am one with it, and we choose to allow it to be right here, right now. Oh, we choose to grow and glow benevolently, brilliantly, elegantly, efficiently. This is what we choose, and we know it is God's good pleasure to bring forward that holy light. Oh, how good it is to know that all I need to do is invite it, evoke it, and allow it to be. We move into a space of divine receptivity, allowing our good. We allow it, and we know that its byproducts are happiness and joy, harmony and peace, sacred, holy relationships. We ground that energy. We open it. We allow ourselves to embrace it. We ground it, and we allow it to be. We agree by signing on the spiritual dotted line by saying, and so I let it be. Benevolently, brilliantly, joyously, abundantly, prosperously. And so it is. Amen. 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 Ashe. Aho. Mahalo. Shalom. Hotep. And hallelujah. Just breathing that in. All right. Breathe it in. Always good after prayer to just let it mingle and tingle. If you really, when you're doing this work, when you pray, when you meditate, you let it integrate into your bones and cells and tissues. We're getting ready for our conscious time of giving. So the ushers are going to come forward. And again, as we talked about earlier with the announcements, you can tithe via Venmo at Soul Center OC in the business section. You can also text the word give to area code 669-342-2157. For those of you online, it's coming up on the screen right there. For those of you here, the baskets are going to come around. You can put checks or cash or butterflies, whatever feels right and good to you. And also you can go to Soul Center OC at any time and donate safely and securely. And with all of that, we say thank you.
told you I got caught up in a way, almost gave it away. Would you hear me out if I told you I was terrified for days? Thought that I was gonna break. Oh, I couldn't stop it, tried to slow it all down, crying in the bathroom, had to figure it out with everyone around me saying you must be so happy now. Oh, if you keep reaching, then I'll keep coming back. If you're not for good, then I'm okay with that. If you leave the light on, then I'll leave the light on. And I am finding there's just no other way. Still dancing at the end of the day. If you leave the light on, then I'll leave the light on. Do you believe me now that I always had the best intentions, babe? Always wanted to stay. Can you feel me now that I'm vulnerable in so many ways? Oh, and I never change. Oh, I couldn't stop it, tried to figure it out, but everything kept moving and the noise got too loud with everyone around me saying you must be so happy now. If you keep reaching, then I'll keep coming back. If you're not for me, then I'm okay with that. If you leave the light on, then I'll leave the light on. And I am finding there's just no other way, but I'm still dancing at the end of the day. If you leave the light on, then I'll leave the light on. Oh, leave the light on. Oh, would you leave the light on? You keep reaching, then I'll keep coming back. And if you're not looking, then I'm okay with that. You leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. And I am finding there's just no other way, but I keep dancing at the end of the day. If you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Oh, if you leave the light on, leave the light on.
Oh, thank you. That was brilliant. Brilliant. More love for the band and Lacey. All right. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bless our offering, extending our heart, our prayers through our hands in deep gratitude. Deep gratitude for the promise in the promissory note that says on it, in God we trust. We trust God in all things, in wealth and health and goodness and harmony and sacred brilliance, and knowing that Soul Center continues to thrive individually and collectively. We allow it to be good, always inspired, always guided, directed, uplifted, and connected by the holy light. We let it be good, we let it be so, and so it is. Amen. And as the kids come in, I just want one more important announcement. Go Rams!
to share what we did today. What did we read? Lots of music. And what did we decide what we're going to do?
I started today with a positive thought and a grateful heart.
Did you tell me? Go ahead.
It's best to have a spiritual self-esteem than a boastful ego, because when you have a spiritual self-esteem, you know that you can that you deserve the best. But when you have ego, a boastful ego, you push away all the good. Go Bengals.
We're ready.
All right. To know that we have said yes to peace and love, wellness and goodness, prosperity and joy. We let it flow through us, glow through us, have its way with us, inspire us. Grateful for this service, knowing that we have said yes to being uplifted and expanded in benevolent and glorious ways. We simply agree to allow it to be, and so it is. Amen. And note that we have chaplains here for anybody who would like individual prayer. I please, out on